Welcome, everybody, to Red Hoop Talk. I'm Roy Melendez, and this is my sister.
Hey, I'm Shannon O'Loughlin. Nice to see everyone. Welcome to Red Hoop Talk.
Yes, I am from the Adaes Caddo Nation of Louisiana.
And I'm from the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma. And also, we're doing this wonderful show, Red Hoop Talk, with the Association on American Indian Affairs, who's producing the show for us. And we've got a great guest later on tonight, Earl Evans, who's from the Haliwa-Saponi Tribe, which is a non-federally recognized tribe in North Carolina. So that's going to be a really great discussion as we learn about the Haliwa-Saponi, as well as Earl, our friend Earl. So how's your week been, Roy?
Pretty good, but I first would like to recognize First People of California, the Mandu tribe. How's that?
Oh, you're traveling, aren't you? You're going all around the different indigenous nations in California and honoring. There's a lot.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
There's more and more of territorial acknowledgement stuff online that you can find now. We had brought up that Canadian site where you can type in where you're at, and it populates the different nations that were in your area or still are in your area. But I think there's some other sites that are doing that now, and all across the country, people are talking more and more about territorial acknowledgements. And so I'm really happy to hear that. I'm coming to you from Maryland, of course, near Washington, D.C., which is the original place of the Piscataway peoples.
Piscataways. Ooh. So, what has your week been? Mine has been really uneventful. I've had a week of relaxation, and then all of a sudden, the fire alarms went, and I have to go to work this evening. Believe it or not, I have to drive out of town.
Man, we got to get you that new job, Roy.
The management was on vacation this week, and they're supposed to come back with some type of a offer this week to get me, more secure here at the home versus all the traveling. So, yeah, we're looking forward to seeing what that's going to look like, so that maybe we can have a little better schedule for show.
Very good. I wanted to share a couple of things that I've seen this week, if you don't mind. I'm going to share my screen real quick. First thing, our friends at Native News Online, you remember Levi Rickert, right?
I remember Levi, of course.
Well, Native News Online is bringing a Native voter forum on Monday, October 19th at 7 p.m. Eastern. It's a Native voter forum where it's Native voters discussing issues that matter to them in the 2020 election. So there's going to be some great people there. Of course, our friend Levi, but Aaron Payment, who's from one of the, I want to say Michigan tribes. I'm forgetting which one. Forgive me, Chairman Payment. Red Don Foster, Kevin Killer, O.J. Siemens, Kyle Edwards, Yvette Joseph, and others will be there. I'm going to cut and paste the link into our chat so everybody can see.
Wrong chat. There's this wrong chat.
What's the wrong chat?
You posted in the wrong chat, I think.
No, I didn't. Someone else. Sue St. Marie. Oh, Earl.
I saw that flash. As soon as you did that, it flashed. Now our chat just opened up for me finally. I thought nobody was in there, but hey, Lance, how you doing? Hey, chat room. Welcome, and thank you for being there. Appreciate all of you.
Yeah, no, it was Earl in the private chat. We have a private chat that you don't see in the regular chat room, and
That's where Shannon talks shit to me during the show.
If only I had that attention span to keep that going and be live on camera, I would totally be giving you shit privately too. Let me also share one other thing besides the Native Vote Forum. There's one more thing that I found that I thought was really interesting, and it goes to the peoples of California. So this is a website. Let's see, is it showing? Yeah.
Tongva Villages.
Yeah, mapping the Tongva villages of LA's past. And as you scroll down this really awesome website, you see the map of Los Angeles and Orange County there.
I'll tell you something very interesting. They're everywhere because I was working in La Cienega one day, and we were working for Edison for the electric company, putting in a big transformer, and it was out. The transformers go out in the middle of nowhere, and as we were driving down this dirt road in the back hills of La Cienega, because I don't know if you know that area, but some places in LA there's these really very very mountainous areas, and so we're driving down into this valley. We park our vehicles, and then we have to walk around to our area. And as I'm walking, I see this trailhead, and this trailhead has a plaque on it, and I go in there, and it was a Tongva village, and it was marked off, but it was out in the middle of nowhere all by itself, but there was still a trail marker there to the village.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, this, you can see how it's mapping, and it's interactive, and it talks about not just showing the different communities here, but it also gives some information about the land of villages. Here's Pavugna in Long Beach at Cal State Long Beach. Yeah, so
one of the bigger ones, right?
Right. And so as you go through here, it kind of takes you to the different places in the Los Angeles area where there are Tongva and other indigenous California native places. That was by Cal State Los Angeles. Here's near downtown Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And it's just this awesome interactive site, and it even takes you down to Catalina Island.
Yes.
So
there's some really cool stuff out there.
And this was a project of LA Times. So LA Times put this out. Whoops, I'm in the private chat now.
Wonder who built them. Who built that for them?
Yeah, I don't know, but it's really awesome. Okay, so I'm sharing that site with everybody so they can check it out. It's a really cool site. Wow, we got some folks on the chat here. Hey, everybody.
Yep, and JD is in there. Hey, JD.
JD.
Always hanging with us, and Lance too.
Lance, our friend Lance, who we met at our open talking circle, who joined us for that. So I think I'm tired. Can you tell?
Well, you've been running around trying to get technical stuff done and everything before the show, so probably wore you out with all your stressing you were doing.
Yeah, and all the things.
And your green screen going down, and before the show, Shannon was like, she was yelling, screaming, and cussing that it didn't work, and she grabbed her green screen and she threw it across the room.
Well, gotta get all those wiggles.
I gotta record these blooper things that you do before the shows and after.
Well, I really think we need to do some more, just you and I, Roy, when we really get into our chats and record them and produce them and put fart noises in or whatever to make it more interesting.
I really liked our talking circle that we had. That was a lot of fun, getting everybody involved, and that was a lot of fun.
Let's plan another one of those for November.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it.
Sound good.
Yeah, it sounds great. Put a date, just make a date, and let's just do it. I think everybody enjoyed it, and we got a lot of viewers, and it was fun. Okay.
And then the last thing I'm going to show my shirt. How cool this shirt is. Okay, let's see.
I was like, what? You're going to show your what?
Look at this. Everybody go to Beyond Buckskin. Like, they've got some great stuff at Beyond Buckskin right now, and vendors are just not selling stuff very much. So if you need a new shirt for your Zoom calls, they've got some great stuff. They've got some great, if you have to wear a suit or anything, like native ties with different nice print. But they got more stuff for girls. of course.
As needed. Lance, what are you talking about? Energies are shifting around. I had some actual time to do some meditation this weekend, and I feel something too. I was wondering what you were feeling, because I had an interesting meditation session, I should say.
Well, what do we think? Fall is, we're in fall now. I know the weather's changing, the time is changing, and we're going into a period from harvest to rest or to sleep. So our energies may be a little low right now, right? And we need to do what we can to be restful and meditate. I think that's a really great idea, Roy. I haven't done that in a little while, and I need to get back to it.
I needed to. I've got all my herniated discs in my neck, and I needed some tension release. So I said, what, I'm just gonna sit back and put some up and meditate and relax, and I did, and it was good, and I was feeling that energy too. I was feeling changes, and like you said, it's that time of the year, we're changing. It's time for the long nights and story time and all that kind of good stuff, and I really enjoy this time of the year with my kids, especially getting to sit down with them and tell stories and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Well, let's maybe we need to bring some more energy into the room with us. Should we go ahead and bring Earl and
ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, all you res folks out there, this is our good friend Earl Evans. How you doing, Earl?
Hey, doing great. I hope you guys are. Good evening.
We are. Good evening. Look at you. You're all looking
Isn't he nice?
fly, man.
Look how nice he looks. Everybody say something.
Shannon's showing her t-shirts and he's res flossing right there.
I don't even want to know what that is. Res flossing.
Yeah, that does sound a little weird.
So I've known Earl, just complete transparency. I've known Earl for quite some time. He's also a good friend of the Association on American Indian Affairs. He used to help us with fundraising efforts and some of our program efforts. And he's always been a friend like that. He's always put out a good voice for the association. And he's also put out a good voice to protect cultural resources on tribal governance matters. He's just been a really strong advocacy voice out there. And so I thought, hey, we got to get Earl on. And what's interesting, Earl, is that last week we had someone on from Lumberland. And next week we're having someone on from Eastern Cherokee. So we're really getting our North Carolina on for these 3 weeks. So I want to hear more about you and baby Earl, but also, have you lived at Haliwa-Saponi like all your life? What's it like there? I mean, it's a state recognized tribe. Can you just kind of share a little bit with us about who you are, where you come from, and what your res is like?
Yeah. So Shannon, coming to you live today from the Haliwa-Saponi Tribal School, which I must say is something that I'm very proud of, that my tribe is only one of two in the state of North Carolina that still has its own tribal school system. So we're definitely very proud of that. Grades K through 12. My children have gone to school here for a short time. And so I'm just real pleased to be coming to you from this place today. The Creator has blessed us to be able to have it. But yeah, growing up in Haliwa-Saponi, from a small community in North Carolina called Hollister, which kind of straddles the county lines of Halifax, Warren, and Nash. If you were to take a compass and stick it in the corner where those 4 counties connect and draw a circle 10-mile radius, to us, that's Hollister, even though Hollister proper is Halifax County. But I grew up on the Halifax County side of that community, and been here all of my life except for leaving to go to college and a small stint in Washington, D.C. Other than that, I've been here in Hollister my entire life, other than, of course, traveling for work whenever that comes about.
Yeah, and that's been, when's the last traveling you've done?
February, I believe, was the last time that I did any kind of extensive travel, or may have even been longer than that, because just prior to the pandemic, I think I flew once, and then January, and then February, I was in Washington, D.C., so I guess that doesn't really count. It was about a 3.5-hour drive from here, so we're not that far. And exploring North Carolina tribes this week is pretty great, because in the fall, there's no doubt, if no other time, this is definitely God's country in the fall.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's beautiful down there. I love North Carolina. So you got someone in the chat who knows you, Scott German.
Hey, Scott. Yes, I've known Scott for a number of years. Ran into Scott just a couple of years ago after about a 10 or 15 year hiatus. Scott's very, very sharp guy. It's been a long time, Scott. Good to hear from you, man.
Oh, so what should I do? Should I bring up a picture or something, Earl, and make you talk about it?
What do you want me to talk about first, Shannon? Let's see. Growing up in Hollister here was, I actually think it was a huge, huge blessing. There are so many of our tribal people who grow up in urban areas and other places that take them away from their home communities. And I'm very pleased and proud that I had the opportunity to grow up here. I grew up here amongst my family. My dad and all his brothers and sisters all live here, and or at least most of them do. We've got an aunt that lives up in Pennsylvania, but my dad is one of 11 kids, and so I had the opportunity to grow up in a neighborhood where all of our houses were side by side, and we just ran house to house, played in everybody's yard, walked in everybody's door to eat dinner without ever knocking. And it was just fantastic. I couldn't have asked for any better of a blessing than to have grown up here at home. That's cool.
That's cool. Roy, you should, I seem to always take over at the beginning.
Well, you invite most of our guests, so I listen, and then Earl and I had a real good conversation after we did our stream test, and Earl's just been, like you said, all over the place. But what I like about Earl is, he didn't study here and study there and study here and study. He worked here, worked there, worked here, worked there. He's been out there doing the work, and one of the real cool stories, I hope we get to tell it here, is one of the stories he told me about his daughter and how he put her to work. She inquired one day, and he said, "Hey, do something about it," and she did. And I really, I like the fact that, and we talked about, just putting in the work. And I'm not affiliated with any organization or been to school or any of that, but I've always been out there and willing to put in any work that is needed. So like here, what we do. So that was our conversation. So I enjoyed talking to Earl about all of his work that he's done. So I hope we can just get into it.
Yeah. Let's do that, Earl, because I'd like to, where you are now, in the work you do at a very professional executive type level, helping with economic development, helping protect cultural heritage, resources, among other things that you do. But like, how did you get from
let's do that, Shannon, not to butt in and interrupt, but to butt in and interrupt.
All right, Roy's taking charge.
Well, no, what I'd like to talk about, and we've only gotten into this a couple of times, about economic development in Indian country and what that looks like. And Earl works at a very high level in that field. And, we've touched on it here and there agriculturally, but I want to get a little deeper into the weeds with it. And, first of all, talk to us about on a local level, what's going on with you, what you're doing, and then maybe speak on a kind of a more national and Indian country level as far as what you're seeing, what you'd like to see, or what you're even involved with.
Yeah, sure. So from the time I was a kid, I knew that I wanted to work in Indian affairs. I think the original dream that I had was I thought about going to law school and becoming an attorney, coming back representing my tribe, and doing that. And as I kind of grew up, I sort of moved around all over the country and saw a lot of different perspectives that kind of still moved me around in the circle of Indian affairs, but it kind of shift a lot of my thought patterns in a different way. I was fortunate enough that when I was growing up here as a kid, we had a tribal youth group, and we had very good tribal leadership at the time. That fortunately, they leadership developed us to death. All the youth leadership things we could attend were in it. We had a statewide organization, North Carolina Native American Youth Organization, which is basically for high school kids to teach them leadership development skills, all those basic things, how to run a meeting, Robert's Rules of Order, public speaking skills, interviewing, how to present yourself. Then from there, I kind of, when I was in high school, that was one of the main things that I was involved in was that statewide organization. And we also traveled nationally. It afforded me the opportunity to become involved in United National Indian Tribal Youth, Unity, which Mary Kim Titler is now the executive director of. Been able to see that organization grow and develop. At the time I was there, J.R. Cook was the executive director. Harley Macasado, who just recently passed, was very influential in a lot of our lives related to that organization. I can remember back in, I think it was about 95, if I'm not mistaken, we were at one of the Unity sessions in Washington, D.C., and there was a high-ranking official from the Bureau of Indian Affairs that was coming out to present to us. And myself and Tobias Vanderhoop from up at Aquina-Wampanoag and several others of us who were kids who were just not going to sit down when another kid was in tears because she felt like this BIA official had somehow disrespected her and her community when she expressed concerns. We held the meeting at a standstill. We questioned those actions. We told them that they needed to issue an apology right away. And even though we thought that we were going to have some dire consequences from that, surprisingly, we got a Youth Leadership Award. But one of the things that I'll never forget that J.R. Cook said to me then, he said, everyone at some point in time has to make the decision that enough is enough and something needs to be said. And I'll never forget him saying that. He said it to all of us. And from then going on to college, I was involved in a college. Of course, we had student organizations in college. I went to University of North Carolina at Pembroke. There were several from the Haliwa-Saponi community who also went to school there. And there I majored in American Indian Studies. I was in the Native American Student Organization. And while there, was involved in the North Carolina Native American Council on Higher Education. We also, during my senior year, founded the first National American Indian Fraternity, Phi Sigma Nu, which now has chapters not only in North Carolina, but we have chapters in Arizona, Oklahoma, New Mexico. We have a chapter up at Dartmouth. We've got several chapters all over the country. So after college, I guess I kind of wanted to see what kind of bite I had to my bark. So I went to work for my tribe shortly after with a gentleman from my tribe who is not only a great mentor and friend, but he's just a phenomenal Indian leader. His name is Barry Richardson. For a long time, he led the Baltimore Indian Center up in Baltimore, Maryland, and in its heyday. And I was very blessed and fortunate to be able to have the opportunity to work under him as a tribal administrator. From him, I learned to be aggressive in trying to do really good things for a lot of different tribes. I learned the importance of collaborative partnering. Barry is one of those people who just is a networker, and he knows that no person is an island unto themselves. We all need each other. And so it really taught me a lesson in how to reach out to others, ask for help, and to help others when they ask for it. Archie Lynch also, would be remiss without talking about Archie, who's also been another big influence. Archie Lynch is here from Hollister, North Carolina as well. And he's a longtime tribal administrator for our tribe for some time after Barry left. And he's traveled all over Indian country and met a lot of people. And him and I, during the times that we've worked together in several different positions I've had with the tribe, we've gotten to, that's Archie. With Archie, we've been involved in National Congress of American Indians. Also, we helped found an organization called the Alliance of Colonial Era Tribes. And we've helped fight on a national front for a lot of Native issues and causes. And one of the things that I really learned from him is sometimes you got to laugh. No matter how serious the situation is, sometimes you just have to take a moment and not take yourself or the moment so seriously, and just laugh, have a good time no matter what, because we're all people. And so he's really a hard fighting soldier for Haliwa-Saponi people. So let's see. Next part in answering your question about where I've gone from there is went to do a brief stint in Washington, D.C. in the Clinton administration. And that's kind of where I started working on economic development projects. We were part of an initiative called Native Edge. And the EDGE stood for Economic Development Guidance and Empowerment. And so it was an interagency initiative for us to help spur sustainable economic opportunities in Indian country. A lot of what we did was help tribal companies stand up their 8A companies. We helped some private companies learn how to do business in Indian country, about the benefits to doing business in Indian country. And so that's, that time there in economic development, and going from there to consulting with tribes and doing fundraising. I've been blessed with the opportunity to meet some of the premier legends in Indian country. I can remember when I was a kid hearing about John Echo Hawk and all of his work for NARF, because I mean, in Indian country, John Echo Hawk is like Elvis to white people. He's and to be able to read about someone like John when I was a kid growing up, and to actually have the opportunity to come to the association and on Indian Affairs and work with him and work with Frank Edogishik, another one of my mentors and a very close friend. It was invaluable for me, a kid from small town Hollister, North Carolina, Haliwa-Saponi. This is a dream come true, to be able to work alongside these individuals and help solve some of the issues going on in Indian country. And then, of course, through the association, I came to meet Shannon and know Shannon, have the opportunity to work with her. And we've done a lot of fundraising for a lot of the national organizations, and also had the opportunity to work one-on-one with a lot of the different tribes, solving some of their issues together in creative ways that maybe hadn't been considered. We've done some work with tribes, everything from helping them preserve sacred sites to standing up tribal companies and everything in between.
Yeah, and Earl can sell you marshland in the desert.
Yeah, I mean, he's like one of America's top 100 most influential lawyers or something, isn't he? Isn't he like one of the
Earl? Or John?
Yeah.
Echo
No, John.
John Echo Hawk?
Yes.
Oh, you were talking about Earl. I was talking about John.
I was talking about Earl. Yeah, no, John Echo Hawk. He's the founder of one of the founders of NARF, and is also on our board at the association. He's just great, but you would never, he'll just sit in a room and never say anything until something needs to be said. And he will say it, and then everybody will follow the line, right? So
that's right.
He has a lot of influence, and is just has a great mind, and works in it. That's what he does, And there's like about 10 Echo Hawks running around that are all doing nonprofit work or academic work or are lawyers, and they're all Pawnee, right? Aren't they all Pawnee? All the Echo Hawks?
Yeah, they're Pawnees.
They're all Pawnee. Yeah.
Pawnees, cousins, lots and lots of Pawnee cousins.
And let's not forget Jack Trope. I mean, Jack Trope, sometimes we may not hear that name much these days, but Jack is one of the people behind some of the most influential work that we've had relative to the Native American Graves Repatriation Act, the Indian Child Welfare Act. He's had a hand in some of all of those efforts.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, now he's at Casey Family Programs.
Still doing a great job.
Indian Child Welfare, still, yeah. Yeah, he was one of our executive directors before I came about. But Earl, I know I want to hear more about Haliwa-Saponi. And I think a lot of folks from our conversations in the past, folks on our chat room, are really interested in other tribes around Indian country, especially if you're not federally recognized. But we also want to hear about economic development stuff too. So do you want to?
She's asking you to tell us a story.
Okay, I'll tell you a story. It's just a matter of which one do you want to hear. One of the things that you said earlier about selling, the interesting thing enough is that for most of the work that I've done in Indian country, a lot of it in some ways has been to raise money for lots of different valuable and wonderful causes in Indian country. But, those causes really sell themselves because they're so needed, they're so vital. And I think that the largest part is helping folks see the value in that. And not to mention, there's so many wonderful tribes who know that because of the situation they're in the situation to be able to help other tribes who maybe haven't come up to the level of success that they have. And they see the need for these broad-based efforts in Indian country, and they see the value in these large national organizations like the Association of American Indian Affairs, Native American Rights Fund, NICWA, National Congress of American Indians, and they understand that we all have to work together to make this happen. And if it were not for the generosity of those tribes, and they're seeing those things as being opportunities to make life better for all of us, none of the fundraising would be possible. So that's really what it's all about. It's about good people helping good people.
Yeah.
But in terms of a story that you want to hear, like I said, it's just a matter of which one. There's so many. One of the stories that Roy and I were discussing previously was about how we got into cultural protection of sacred sites, tribal resources. And I was telling him that one of the entities I'm affiliated with, Culture Heritage Partners, the partners, Greg and Marion Werkheiser, are longtime friends, longtime colleagues. I was telling them a story about how years ago I was helping a tribe in New Jersey protect a site in extreme northern New Jersey, Vernon Township, referred to as the Black Creek site. There was evidence of over 10,000 years of continual occupation at that site by Lenape ancestors up to the late 1700s. This had been known, it had been studied, and it had been in private hands for a number of years. But the Vernon Township government had purchased the property for the sake of building recreation fields. They wanted to build soccer fields, ball fields, those kinds of things. But one of the tribes that's in New Jersey, the Nanticoke Lanai Lenape, knew that the site had a lot of sensitive areas on it. The entire site was not encompassed with studies that have shown that there has the potential to be burials, but at least some of the site had already had a significant amount of those studies that had been done in previous years demonstrating those things. So the tribe went to the town and said, I tell you what, we've got 7 different alternative plans for you to consider that will allow you to protect the known sensitive areas of the site and still have everything you want to do. Town basically said no, and the town fought it tooth and nail. At the time, I was assisting the tribe, and we gained the assistance of an attorney who had only been practicing for 3 months. At the time, Greg Werkheiser, his uncle, who had studied stone cairns and landscapes in Pennsylvania for a number of years, had come across the issue and had suggested that we work together on that. And like I said, Greg had only been an attorney for 3 months. We thought we were just going to file an injunction, put a stop to this, and somehow we convinced the judge that this was the wrong thing for them to do. We figured maybe 6 months. And keep in mind, this site didn't have any of the known federal protections. It was not federal land. It was private land. It was not land held in trust. I mean, imagine every single possible scenario to the negative, and that was this site. Mm-hmm. And so what we thought would be 6 months ended up in a 6-year ordeal, wherein we faced legal obstacles. There was attempted legislation to take away the authority of the state to put land onto the Register of Historic Places there, and there were attempts to defund projects of other legislators who didn't support the legislation. I mean, it just, every kind of circumstance you can come up that was coming out of left field, right field, trying to stop the preservation of this site. And the tribe in New Jersey had reached out to the Delaware Tribe of Indians. They had reached out to other Stockbridge Munsee, other Lenape descended tribes throughout the United States and in Canada. And a lot of the tribes, came to an agreement. Yes, please fight this fight. And so the tribe fought it for that entire 6 years. Now that site is permanently protected. Vernon Township ended up losing that site. It's now in the ownership of the state, permanently protected. It's on the National Register of Historic Places and the State Register of Historic Places. And so the most amazing thing about it was Greg, who had been attorney for only 3 months, every time we were in the courtroom, beat out a 20-year veteran lawyer who was a named partner in his law firm at every setting, and made it look easy. That was just so amazing. And so I'm definitely proud to have developed a long-term friendship with him and Marion through that adventure. So that's how we came to collaborate on sacred site issues and protection of cultural properties. And that's something that we still do today, is we do the best that we can to help folks understand why sacred landscapes, traditional places, ancestors are worth protecting, because unfortunately some people don't understand why those places should be protected.
No, they don't. And it's a cultural thing, and not even that it's a cultural thing. It's a respect thing, I think, because nobody wants to go digging other folks up and putting them on display, or bowling them over. I mean, we wouldn't go running through the local cemetery out here in Los Angeles and just say, hey, we're going to put a parking lot on here instead. It's about respect, and for some reason Indian country doesn't get that. No matter what. But that's what we're all doing the work for. So
you're right, Roy. Indian country doesn't get that respect. In fact, you brought up my daughter a moment ago, the story I told you about her.
Yeah.
So my daughter's currently 13 years old. Her name's Kaylee. And last year, about a year and a half ago, she had seen an article in the paper just prior to her 12th birthday. She was 11 at the time. Wherein some students from our tribe had gone to their high school in Warren County, and they had requested to be able to wear items of cultural significance during the graduation. They wanted to do things like be the graduation caps and the tassels and those kinds of things. And the Warren County school system, the way they spoke about that to the kids, according to the newspaper, they made it appear as though these things were not dignified. They said that they wouldn't allow it because they wanted to keep the dignity of the graduation ceremony. And so when my daughter read that newspaper article, now keep in mind, this was going on at a high school that she was not even attending. The only thing I can say is she was incredibly hurt, frustrated, and just, all these emotions flooding her at the same time. And she's like, Daddy, why? Why is it that other people come from somewhere else and what everybody else does is fine and we have to accept what they do?
Yeah.
But our history, our culture, our religious practices, they're not dignified. Why is it that they are not considered dignified? And when you see your daughter going through that, having those kinds of emotions, the first thing you want to do is hug her. You want to wipe her tears away. And then, of course, you want to bring forth the unbridled wrath of God upon anybody who dared hurt your baby girl's heart.
Yep.
But one of the things that I did as I thought about how do we make this a teachable moment, because my daughter, she is very, very bright, very smart. She's at only the 8th grade, already been inducted to the Beta Club. So I'm thinking, how can we help her? She wants to be in Indian issues one day. She wants to be an activist. She wants to be a Native lawyer. So I said something that turned her her hurt, her pain, her frustration into confusion when I said, well, what are you going to do about it? And, she just looked at me very puzzled and she said, well, Daddy, what can I do about it? I'm only 11 years old. And I said, well, sweetie, you're not powerless. And one of the things that I've done is taught my kids about the many stories, not only traditional stories that we have here, not only about other tribes, but I've also taught them about the Bible. And I told her, I said, don't you remember little David? Sometimes the Creator just needs the right kid to take down the giant. Maybe this one's yours. So in a couple hours, she kind of got her thoughts together because we had a tribal council meeting coming up that Monday night for the Haliwa-Saponi Tribal Council. And so she got her thoughts together. I helped her write her speech. So she went to our tribal council and she asked them to pass a resolution taking a stand on this issue to reverse Warren County School Board's decision that they had made to disallow students from wearing cultural items. So she asked the council to pass this resolution. That it didn't happen that night, but later they did pass a resolution, and then so all this happened in 2019, and so June of 2020, the Warren County High School reversed their decision, and the graduating class of 2020 were able to wear their cultural items as a part of their graduation attire. So already at her young age, I told her she's already been a successful Native American activist.
Yep, absolutely.
Put that on the resume, just like your buddy did, who whooped that other lawyer's ass, wiped the floor with it. It's good on the resume for first shot,
I missed the wiping up somebody's ass story. Did I miss that?
Wiping the floor with somebody. I didn't say wiping somebody's ass.
Well,
he was working with a new lawyer that actually beat up a highfalutin lawyer on his first shot. So he got some kudos for that. Lisa Kelly said, this hits home because my sons were kicked out of the American Indian program with Guilford County schools in North Carolina for being Taino. They claim we are extinct. Well, I've got a bunch of books, even a couple of books that my sister Shannon gave me that say that my tribe is extinct. And there's a whole bunch of us, my grandma, my daddy, a whole bunch of folks that are still a deus. So those books and the shit that they say really doesn't mean anything because we're really all still here. So just because, they put it on a piece of paper or stamp it on something doesn't make it, any more real than it already is. Just like being recognized nationally. It's like, really, I mean, obviously for the tribe to get anything done legislatively or, for themselves. Yeah, it's important to have rights within the United States to do that. it's important, but really it's just another dog card. It's just another, way to, say, hey, well, you're less than still, you guys are less than still. And I despise it, but it does go on, Lisa. It happens out there. The other thing that's interesting is you're talking about Warren County, North Carolina, of course, correct?
Correct.
I just a trivial trial, whatever call it, trivia. It's my. You guys can't hear my son, can you?
Yeah.
He's trying to get. He's in the bathroom anyway.
Right. That.
But anyway, I actually knew
Part of Red Hoop talk.
Warren. From Warren Mountain that lived in Warren County, and he was actually from the Warren family that whole county and everything was, and so I that rang with me because I just remember him very specifically. That's a very white county up there.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were This was back in the 80s.
Yeah. Well, to me, especially now, if Lisa or others are having that issue within their state and the Indian programs in the state, it's a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity. And I used to hate it when elders would tell me that, oh, well, what a great opportunity. It's like, what? No, it's an opportunity for you to practice your advocacy and speak for your people and help because you're not just working for yourself, you're working for others as well.
Which is what Earl, just the story about his daughter, same thing, ask the question, hey, what are you going to do about it? And that's what it comes down to. Earl and I were talking about, it's about getting out there and doing the work. We can sit and talk all that we want. We've done many, many, many years of talking. It's about getting up and doing the doing, and doing the thing and having it, go somewhere. And right now, I think that, I guess for lack of a better term, the iron's hot, it's like, right now things are pretty malleable and people are listening, and there's weakness in some of the armors out there that have been, opposing forces of Indian country. And I think the next few years may be time to start striking the iron,
Oh, definitely.
Just saying,
So Earl, go. Were you about to say something?
No, you first, Shannon. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask you because, when I run into you, you're always happy. You're polite, considerate. Always have some great jokes.
He's a Southern gentleman. What are you talking about?
Well, exactly. But what?
Hear his voice.
What is frustrating to you in Indian country? Because you've been in tribal council. You are part of a state recognized tribe that doesn't have the same kind of rights, like Roy was saying, that federally recognized tribes do. What is frustrating to you? I rarely see you frustrated, and I was just wondering what really frustrates you working in Indian country.
Well, there's definitely a lot of reasons to be frustrated sometimes.
Maybe it has to do with Don Ragona there in the chat room. Don Ragona.
No, hey, Don. Hi, buddy. How you doing, man? No, it's been a wonderful honor and pleasure to have the opportunity to work with Don Ragona. I mean, he's just a magnificent, hard-working individual for the Native American Rights Fund, and Don is out there moving and shaking, and because of Don's work, the Native American Rights Fund has the resources to do lots of awesome stuff. So hats off to the work of Don Ragona. Him and his family sacrifice a lot for the work that he does for Native American Rights Fund. So I'm very proud to call Don a friend. But Shannon, in terms of working in Indian country, one of the things that I guess frustrates me is that sometimes all of us tend to forget how much we need to utilize the national organizations for the things that they specialize in. Sometimes I find it hard as tribes to get out of our way and seek help from those organizations based on their specialty and the things that they know about. I think that, for example, Kit Key and his team at USET just do some really awesome work.
And you said it's the United Southern and Eastern Tribes, right?
Right. United South and Eastern Tribes. They really do some awesome work. And the association, First Nations Development Institute, NICWA, all these national organizations are there for a reason. The leadership who came before us put them there because they knew we needed someone to specialize in some of these key things, so that tribes who don't have financial resources available can use the combined resources of everyone to come together with those organizations and help fill in the gaps in some of the information that we need. And I guess one of the other things that's frustrating is that it's hard sometimes for some of us to decolonize our mindset. We've been ingrained with the way the United States and its system would like to have us think, instead of us holding on to the way our ancestors taught us to be. And sometimes that gets in the way of the work. And I think that the more we focus on the way our ancestors taught us to be and what they envisioned for us before the complexities of worrying about the federal government politics came into play, I think the better off all of us will be, and it'll help us regain our center and get our focus back.
Oh, that's a powerful. This conversation is a little deeper than I thought we were going to go, Earl. No,
I'm sorry.
No. That's a really powerful point. And glad you said it, because that's the place we're in right now. And we've been having conversations as we're leading up to, election day, what that means, and how best to be involved. And we can never forget how we were supposed to be, and know our how do you look at it from a state recognized tribe? Again, how do you look at that relationship with the United States? How do you look at voting?
Well, I think it's important for all of us to vote, Shannon. One of the to me, I kind of use the expression that it's no good to stand out on the gravel and gripe if you didn't go into the meeting and speak. And I guess that describes what happens in tribal community or council meetings sometimes.
Yeah.
People will stand there and they'll just say nothing when they feel like something's not going right or people are being mistreated. And then when they get out on the gravel, you should have told them this, you should have told them that. Well, why didn't you tell them? And to me, our vote is the way we tell them. So if you don't vote, don't complain. I'm a part of that crowd too. If you don't express your voice, if you don't get out there and try to be part of the solution, don't complain about the problem.
So Earl, most of us feel that way, I think, but there are a group, and there are brothers and sisters that are feeling, like you said, hey, I want to be true to the ancestors. I want to be true to my elders. I want to be true to the atrocities and what's gone on. And they say, I'm not going to participate in this thing because it's not ours. And we don't belong to it. It doesn't belong to us. And I understand what they're saying. I hear them. But I feel you, but I feel them also. How do you feel about that tear in Indian country where we do have people with good intentions that are just, they just want to turn their back on the whole thing because they feel left out either way, no matter, because look, we've got two choices out there this season, this election season. We've had two choices for a couple, 100 years. Right. And at either, I understand that the brevity of this vote is weighted heavy on all of us because of what the possibilities are. But again, what is Indian country going to get out of it? Either way, is it going to affect us either way? Are we still going to be standing there with nothing? Because I do understand some of our people talking like this. I don't agree with it necessarily. But I do understand them and I do feel them. And I just wanted to hear what you had to speak into that.
Wow, that was deeper than the last part of the discussion. Well, I understand. To me, that's a part of the historical trauma that we all feel because of what's going on in this country. We all have that sense of frustration, that sense of anxiety because of what's happened. And the feeling of feeling powerless. And it's just like I told my daughter, you're not powerless. Take every opportunity to utilize the power that you have in whatever form, whether it's in your home tribal forum, whether it's in someone else's forum. Take every available opportunity in every available venue to fight your fight, to stand your ground, to make your case known, to make yourself heard, because you never know which one might be the one that opens the doors. One example we've seen recently has been with the mascot issues. I mean, how long have we not been talking about this issue about the Washington team and it needing to change its name? And then all of a sudden, one day, it just took the right person to come along and say, hey, no more money from us. We're not doing business with you if you don't do something. And it happened.
Yeah.
So
and
you never
there's
know
something to
who's
say
gonna be
about
that
all the
right
constant
person.
pressure too. There was constant pressure, always never letting up. I know there were a lot of aimers out there that every time the issue looked dead, that continued to fight for it, and a lot of other, not just AIM, but a lot of other organizations and people were out there fighting that issue. So the constant pressure, and then when it did crack, when there was a vulnerability, that pressure continued, and that's what made it fall.
Yeah. And it's still not over. That issue is still not over. There are still very racialized terms out there, images out there in all,
Oh yeah, the pressure needs to still be on all of it, on all the issues, on all the tribes that need to be federally recognized, on all the things that are going on out there, reparations, all those things still need to be accounted for and held. I just wanted everybody to know that we took a picture of Shannon's front yard the other day, and she wanted to let everybody know how she feels by putting her yard sign up. And this is Shannon's yard sign. I don't know where she got it or what her opinion is, but I just want to let everybody know that Shannon has her yard sign up now. And
I hope you will enjoy it. Thank you. Thanks for sharing, Roy. Yeah, I was trying to get my green screen last week wasn't working, and I had a great backdrop. It was Pence's head with the fly, like behind me.
We had a little sign.
The little fly had a sign that said Biden Harris. Yeah.
Hey, Benjamin Browning. Hey, thanks. What day to you too, huh?
Well, they say the fly is the sign, right? The fly predicts the elections.
Exactly. He did it. So he chose his sorts. But and I'm not sure. Bottom line with all this political discussion, I'm not sure that things will change very fast. But I know they'll be qualitatively different than what we've got.
Well, like I said, the iron's hot. Things are a little more malleable out there. Are they going to get done right away? Are they going to get done? That's to be seen. But it's about the doing of the thing. Like Earl said, getting under people's skin and saying, hey, instead of questioning, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to take up with somebody or something or some organization? What are you going to do to provide something for the cause? Right. Getting the work done.
Oh, okay. And I think by now, I think everyone knows if they like Trump, they like Trump. If they don't like Trump, they don't. And so
there's none of these. What do they call them? The wash voters, the undecided.
I really don't think there are. I really don't think there are.
Those people just want to get on TV. It's like, hey, Mom, look, I'm on TV. I'm on TV.
Throw one of those infected hats my way. Okay.
Because you can hear how they answer their questions. They'll be like, well, I was going to vote for him, but, well, you know, and they're loaded questions that they ask. And it's just BS. Everybody's decided.
One of the things, though, Roy, that Indian country's got to take note of if no one else does. I don't know if you saw the Columbus Day Proclamation. Well, I take that back. I think Shannon, did you not post it on one of the prior shows? Yeah, the proclamation from the White House concerning Columbus Day. I mean, that was just.
It's disgusting.
I don't even have the words for it. I mean, because the thing is, you know, all one has to do is a little bit of research, and you can find out that all the atrocious things Columbus did when he came to the Americas. He raped, he pillaged, he burned people at the stake. There's even writings from one of his crew members where they took children of natives and chopped them up to feed them to their dogs. Yeah. Now, so to say that this is a person who deserves some type of honor, it would be more appropriate for this country to say, you know, we don't believe that. We do not stand in favor of Columbus. There's all these talks about removing these monuments through the Black Lives Matter, but one of the most atrocious monuments that still exists in this country is having Columbus Day still be recognized as a federal holiday instead of being officially renounced.
And that's been recently brought into the forefront of, you know, the Columbus Day deal. I mean, everyone has been very receptive to the idea that, hey, this is offensive to Indian country. And I want everybody to understand what we're dealing with here. This guy is a P.T. Barnum. He's a salesman. He's done it all his life. You know, that's what he does. And he won this election through those people that voted for him in the, you know, the Electoral College. He is grasping at straws to try and make sure that he gets reelection by feeding red meat to that base, because he's not trying to he's losing Republicans. He's lost all Democrats. He's lost all independents, and he's starting to even lose some of his own people. So I think some of these things that he's doing are just the death throes of trying to feed red meat, raw red meat, whatever, to his base to keep them ravenous, you know, so that they'll go out and vote for him. So, I mean, this is all sales tactics. I mean, I honestly don't think that the majority of this country feels that way, that declaration was made. I think that they feel the way that it was moving forward in the last, you know, 8-10 years. It's been changing. You know, what do you call it? The empathy has been pouring out, and like you said, the atrocities have been realized, and it's like, well, maybe we shouldn't have this day, you know. And what we're seeing with this proclamation or whatever he made, that's just feeding the red meat, you know.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Hey, Lance is asking a question and about COVID and tribes. And that kind of slows down the process where tribes are with COVID. And I wanted to ask you, Earl, how are things in North Carolina with the pandemic, and with your tribal nation? Are you all able to keep yourself safe? I mean, do you have uninterrupted territory? Are you all scattered throughout a certain area and a few counties? How are you assessing?
Right. So most of us, about 80% of our tribe are coalesced here in the Hollister community. And yes, there is a territorial area here. And I've been fortunate that I don't have any very close immediate family members that have been affected by COVID so far in terms of catching the virus and having the condition. But you certainly see and feel its effects throughout the pandemic. With North Carolina did a period where they had a stay-at-home order in the state. The tribe also did its own stay-at-home order here at Haliwa-Saponi. And one of the things that is difficult for tribes like Haliwa-Saponi is, we saw all of this play out in the court system about money that was held up to tribes and through the Coronavirus Relief Fund and the CARES Act. Well, none of that money goes to tribes like ours. So in terms of the battle to fight COVID, the fact that a lot of the leadership in the state of North Carolina, the leadership at the federal level, exclude tribes that are not on the federally recognized tribes list from specific targeted COVID assistance means you could potentially be giving communities like ours a safe harbor. And that's not good for any of us, because a lot of us associate with everyone else just like everybody else in the world does. A lot of us need the same resources that the other tribes do. We have tribal governments that need to be able to have aid to disperse. We've got people who own businesses. We've got students who need to go to school and who need to get Wi-Fi access since they can't go to school. We have all of the same needs, but unfortunately, the public leadership here in the state of North Carolina is not doing anything to address that need in a targeted way in any of the tribal communities here. And to my knowledge, it's not happening federally either.
Mm-hmm. But everyone, because I know North Carolina is one of the states that has opened up things a little bit more than other states. So it's good to hear that your family is healthy and well. But yeah, that's the problem with state recognized tribes. I remember doing a little work for Jack Trope. You mentioned Jack Trope earlier, many years back when the BP spill happened off the Gulf. And the tribes that are along the Gulf Coast, like the Homa, who are not federally recognized, couldn't get relief to restore their lands and to get any help or mitigation funds for that big oil spill. And the same with other federal emergencies. And this is another emergency where state recognized tribes are kind of left out, invisible as part of the process, right?
Right. But Shannon, one of the things that we still should keep in mind of, we shouldn't draw those boundaries ourselves. We shouldn't draw those lines in the sand ourselves. As tribal nations, we should all reach out to help other tribal nations. And I know we've seen some of that in hurricane circumstances. We've seen some of that go on in other circumstances. So I'm hoping that the trend will follow as it relates to COVID, that we'll see stories of other tribes reaching out to the tribes that need more assistance and helping them with that. I remain hopeful that will eventually happen. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it has, absolutely. So, what are your plans? Wait, I want to see if I can bring something up real quick here. Hold on. Let me see.
I didn't do it.
Now I'm going to try to bring up something embarrassing. It'll come up here. Hold on. It's my computer. Sorry, guys, for my computer.
While we're waiting, Shannon has another sign that she has up in her front yard that we wanted to pull up. And you've just got these things all over, Shannon. Are you trying to tell us something?
That's pretty funny, right there.
Now, see, Don Ragona is going to think you're talking about him, Shannon. With that by Don.
I would never do that. Never. All right. So here's a cutie.
Oh yeah.
Is that baby Earl?
It is. I was about 18 months old then, Shannon.
Dang, you were 18.
And you were a big kid for it. That looked like a 5-year-old. Come on now, 18 months.
Yeah, yeah. One of the things that was great about my childhood is growing up with a lot of cousins. As I mentioned before, my dad and all his brothers and sisters, we all lived side by side. So I always had enough cousins that we could have two teams for football, two teams for baseball, whatever else we were doing. Yeah. And we grew up more like brothers and sisters than like cousins. And we all still enjoy being together now. There's no greater time for me than to get together with all of my cousins and of course share old stories about our childhood, about growing up, the things that we did. And when we were growing up, if you weren't culturally involved, tribally involved, you were an oddball. And so all of us were all doing the same things at the same times. And I can't speak enough about how tremendously blessed I was to have that childhood experience.
Yeah. And you see that a lot in Indian country, but at the same time, you also have kind of the Hatfields and the McCoys. Does Haliwa-Saponi, do y'all have a lot of factions that are often fighting amongst each other?
Every tribe has its politics, Shannon.
Come on.
Is it just politics?
Every tribe has its politics, but no factions. I don't believe. We have people who are on opposite sides of issues, but it's one of those situations where I do my best to try to believe everybody has the tribe's best interest at heart. It's just everybody has their own opinion about how to approach it. Everybody has a different way they feel it should be done. One of the tribal council members that we've got, for example, is doing just an absolutely outstanding job is Reverend Michael Richardson. He's been giving himself night and day for the issues that relate to the tribe. He's also on the Board of Education for our tribal school, and he's just nonstop at it for anything having to do with the tribe. He's meticulous in reading his information. He's very thoughtful in his approach. And so I can't commend him enough and thank him enough for the work he does here in our community. And him and I, when I was on council, him and I have also had our disagreements in certain aspects. But one of the things that I can say about him is no matter whether we agree or disagree, we're always able to walk out of a meeting, shake hands, and figure out how do we take an approach that gets us the best result. And that's something rare to find, and so we're definitely fortunate to have him in our leadership.
Yeah, it really is. And I think in any team, you always need to have someone from the South in your team, because even though I'm from Oklahoma, I'm kind of in the middle of being a West Coaster, an East Coaster, a Southerner, and a Northerner. And but y'all from the South, you can bring peace. When I always like to have you around me, because you help me settle my hackles down a little bit, so that I can see the real reason why we're doing the work that we're doing, because sometimes people tick me off, including people in Indian country. And
not you, no, not Shannon. People don't make Shannon angry.
It is. I mean, it's just part of my level and how I handle frustration, and so I'm always I look up to Earl and his ability to handle disparate views and what have you. But let's talk. What did I want to talk to you about? We were getting into a conversation about economic development. Roy wanted to know about economic development. There were a few people in our chat room that wanted to know more. You and I, Earl, have been working on some 8A, some small business administration 8A contract stuff for a tribe. And I know you do a lot of work, all different kinds in economic development in Indian country. Can you talk a little bit about it? Are there some good stories to tell?
There's always a lot of good things going on in Indian country, Shannon.
Yeah.
Some of the things that we've been able to do over my lifetime, and again, no one's an island to themselves. There's always so many people involved in the successes. I can think of an instance, for example, where we assisted a tribe who had an 8A company that was fledgling. And so we're able to create a joint venture partnership for them with another company that helped revitalize that company for them so that they could utilize the 8A status before it expired. And they were taking it from being in a deficit position to where it was actually generating positive cash flow that they were able to put back into their tribal community to do positive programming. So that's one of the situations that we've been fortunate enough to be involved in. We've helped tribes with certain administrative solutions, taking a look at where maybe they have not been generating the revenues that they thought they could generate, and taking a look at those revenues and finding out, well, where are the holes, where are the gaps, where are the leaks? It may be taking a look at how their financing is set up and maybe figuring out a better way to structure the financing. So there have been lots of different situations that we've been able to help tribes do the things that help their businesses operate, help their tribal governments operate. We also do a lot of tribal government work. We've been able to help tribes, for example, deal with consultation. As you know, a lot of times when developers want to do infrastructure projects, one of the things that happens is there's usually a federal nexus, it kicks in Section 106 and the National Environmental Protection Act, Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act, and
Right.
the National Environmental Protection Act. So one of the things that we've helped tribes do is we've helped them in consultation with federal agencies. We've also helped them negotiate creative mitigation solutions that are occurring with the developers. The main thing is to help tribes protect their cultural resources. How do we take those disparate views? Because sometimes every side views the problem differently. The federal agency may say the tribe is the problem, or the tribe may say the federal agency is the problem, or the developer may say the tribe's the problem, et cetera. There's enough blame to go around. But we've also been in situations where we had a situation once wherein we were assisting a client, and we really didn't know what to think, because the developer thought the tribes were the problem, and the tribes thought the developer was the problem. When we got everyone around the table, come to find out it was actually the federal agency that was the problem. So everything was getting lost in translation at the federal agency, and usually 9 times out of 10, there's 2 agencies that are involved in that loss of translation, and those are usually the Army Corps of Engineers or the Federal Environmental Regulatory Commission, FERC. So come to find out, you had a situation where the federal agency was talking to every tribe separately and then talking to the developer. And so in translating that all those different times, when you've got 23 tribes involved, instead of trying to get everyone together, things get lost. So once we got everyone to the table, come to find out, the developer and the tribe were actually on the same page, surprisingly, about what the solution was to the issues. And before our involvement, they had been at this for 2 years without figuring out that like I said, the tribes were thinking the developers were the issue. The developers were thinking, oh, the tribes don't like us. But at the end of the day, they were on the same page, and it was the agency that was making everything difficult. Mm-hmm. So we were able to come in there. We got everybody to sit down at the same table. We were able to hammer out a draft agreement, programmatic agreement for them in less than 24 hours of time. And of course, it took more than that once we started sending around all the language back and forth. But we were able to bring that to a resolution that both the tribes and the developer were pleased about.
That's very cool. Yeah, that's very cool. And I think one of the hardest things to realize in like consultation issues is that you've got to have someone in there that knows what the tribal rights are. What does what does the tribal law say? What does the federal law say, or whatever law you're working with? What are the rights, and what is the process to protect those rights within that law, so that you have kind of that foundation to build the relationship, to build the consultation, and a good result. And once you've got that basis, then you can sit down at a table and kind of know what you can do and what the other party can do, and where you can push, right? Where's the level?
That's right.
Yeah. And
that's a bunch of lawyer and stuff right there.
Sorry about that. But and we had I remember there was a question I think Lance asked.
He was asking about global reach of the economic growth of Indian country. He said global, actually.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I was interested in a little bit of detail on what type of industries are out there that Indian country is supporting. Are we looking at manufacturing industry? Are we looking at mostly just services industry? Or are we dabbling in a lot of different things? Or do you see something that Indian country is kind of like starting to specialize in? What's happening out there?
Well, a lot of tribes are starting to finally get into a lot of niche markets that they weren't before. There's a tribe in California, for example, that it was doing a cigar bar, and they kind of have this model for how they develop that. There's also
now, why would you know
a lot of tribes who are well, it's one of the first ones that came to mind.
And why would that be, Earl? Do you like cigars, Earl?
Lance said crude oil.
Yeah. But yeah, so a lot of the buzz in Indian country used to be all about gaming, but a couple of years ago there was this movement started about business beyond gaming, and so a lot of tribes are getting into the retail industry. They're getting into all of these new markets that are just phenomenal. And the thing that I'm surprised that we don't have any large scale tribal businesses in is when I look at all of the money that went to some of these special pharmaceutical companies to take a look at vaccine development. I know that we've got one Indian-owned tribal lab out there, and I'm surprised that tribes haven't gone into something related to that field, or if they have, I don't know of it. But yeah, we've only got one Indian-owned lab company that I'm aware of that's out there. So I think that developing that something into a different medical field that goes into this biomedical research, especially from what we're seeing from the pandemic, is something that's wide open.
I think the hemp industry is also wide open as far as the manufacturing part of it, and I'm not talking about, the medical marijuana or marijuana industry. I'm talking about the hemp industry and the hemp plastics, hemp products. There's a lot of the, when the federal government made hemp legal to grow and harvest and process, the farmers went nuts with it. They're like, okay, cash crop. I'm going to go out and, grow all this stuff. And they did, and it rotted in the fields because there's no industry to support it.
Right. And
I thought that would be a great area for Indian country to get into, because, there's always this type of conflict, again, with the deeper thought of culture and deeper thought of who we are as people. The gaming industry kind of bucked against that. You heard a lot of people not liking the fact that there was gaming, but then of course, gaming brought a lot of economic energy back into Indian country. So, it's hard to say that was a bad thing or whatever, but I mean, at its core, gaming is, it's hurting other people to benefit yourself, kind of thing. So it's in the scheme of things, it's not a win-win type of situation. I see the hemp industry as something where, the world needs that now. And, Indian country is dedicated to, protecting the earth and bringing an industry like that to the world, I think would be a good place for Indian country to be. I've always, maybe I keep telling myself this, and maybe I should be out there doing that because I've been in the industry for so long. And maybe I should be out there sitting down with a tribe and showing them how to put a plastics injection molding company together where they can actually make these biodegradable straws or whatever. I mean, just imagine if Indian country just made straws and, we went back to plastic straws, but they're biodegradable versus these paper things that they're trying to have. Anybody ever sucked on one of those paper straws?
Those are terrible.
They're the worst thing. It's like turns into a wet noodle and you're like, it's horrible. It's like a spit wad in your mouth.
Yeah.
It's the worst damn.
Well, Shannon, at the association, you've moved into an area that I think is fascinating. One of the things that I know the association is promoting. The association is trying to
fascinating areas.
I'm not sure what that means.
Well, one of the things that the association is doing, Shannon, that I'm talking about is the movement that you have trying to get collectors and buyers and auction houses to focus on current native artisans and cultural wares instead of trying to buy off traditional sacred items that are coming to auction houses that, of course, our tribal nations are protesting. So I think that is just absolutely awesome. And the fact that the Southwest Indian market went online for the first time this year, considering what we're dealing with the pandemic, trying to find ways to bring things to the marketplace at a distance. I know Amazon's got it all figured out, but in Indian country, we're not quite there. So a lot of us still have to get out there because, even here at Haliwa-Saponi, we've got some fantastic artisans here that you may not know about if you've never been here or if you've never been local. One of them I sent a picture to you of, Shannon, Sonora Lynch.
Let me get a picture.
If you recall, Sonora did the piece for Frank Edowagishik when we did that honoring for Frank at the Midwest Alliance of Sovereign Tribes. She did a piece just for him called Blackberry Winter. Which was a really awesome piece. And Frank Edowagishik being another person that's one of my mentors, that really meant a lot in the way that she pulled together something that was reflective of the kind of person he is. So Sonora is just one of the great examples of if we could get those buyers and collectors to focus in on the value that's present in the world of native artisans we have today, instead of trying to reach out there and trying to, I guess, for lack of a better way of putting it, create a black market in selling wares that should not be out there. I think it would be a much better relationship with tribes and the collectors market. Yeah, that's Sonora. Exactly. She does such a fantastic job. That's our awesome traditional style of pottery.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. She made a beautiful piece for Frank. Yeah.
What did Lance just said? Indian tribes with oil pumps on their land. Lots of middleman dealings. Does blackens. Indian tribes with oil pumps on their lands, lots of middleman dealings. Does sovereignty take the middlemen out in tribes working and selling on a global scale? Does sovereignty take the middlemen out of? Oh, okay. So basically, is he saying that tribes can go out and negotiate with other nations outside of the U.S. without having to deal with U.S. customs issues?
Well, I think in any type of business where tribes are trying to do import-export, the biggest issue there is the United States not understanding. Well, they probably understand. They just don't want to actively. They don't. They're not a reliable trustee. Maybe that's the best way to say.
There you go.
They're supposed to put the interests of those in whom the trust is placed. They're supposed to protect the interests of the tribes first with tribal resources. And unfortunately, you hear so many situations of these land leases that are held in interior on behalf of tribal people, and the funds are not appropriately accounted for. That's the whole reason the Cobell case is. It was because of the misappropriation of Indian trust funds and trust resources, and proper accounting for. Plus, when you find out the amounts of some of these leases, they're absolutely minuscule. There's no way anybody in the private market would be getting payments that low in comparison to what the interior is allowing these things to go for, and these leases are allowing what essentially amounts to rape of the earth for the natural resources. So I think that what has to happen is we as tribes, we've got to understand that we have to take control of our own destiny. We have to make up our mind that today is not the time to ask for permission. Now is the time to assert that this is something that belongs to us. This is something that the Creator has assigned to us to protect. And we've got to assert that role and that we have for stewardship and in protecting those things. And we've got to go out there and take charge. And for those tribes who don't assert in that way, who are still afraid to go out and be out front, I think more often than not, they're going to find themselves on the losing end because of trying to play it safe. They're getting taken advantage of more often than not. Because make no qualms about it, the federal government is not going to hesitate to take advantage of us wherever they can.
No. And then another issue, I mean, versus calling them all a bunch of wet noodles. I mean, it's they're, what's for a lack of a better term, don't shit where you eat kind of thing. It's like, do you really want to mess with something that you do have income coming in? I mean, even though it may be minuscule or it may be subpar, but it might be hard for the tribes to actually make those decisions where it would put them out. But like you said, it's got to start somewhere, and they got to do something. I hear you. It's another one of those situations.
Yeah.
There's so many of those situations.
There is a lot. And there's they're spread all over Indian country in different tribes with different situations and different. It's just vast. It's vast. And just again, we got another. Believe it or not, we got another sign. Someone found it on the south lawn of Shannon's house, and it was another sign she's got out there.
All right. Yes, I'm
nice, Shannon. You've got some real good signs.
Her lawn has got to be littered, just littered.
Yes, that's.
It's good to take these good breaks and learn a bit more about Shannon's political perspectives. That's fantastic.
I guess I'm completely transparent.
We don't have to take a break to hear Shannon's political reviews. That's for sure.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Everybody's got their views on things. Sometimes my son and I will jokingly pick at each other because his favorite football team is New England Patriots, and so we're out throwing the football one day, and he says the football needs some air, and I said, oh, did you pick this up from the team?
You better go take it back. He's going to be looking. Brady's going to be looking for that one. You sure he's not missing that one?
But it was all in jest, of course, because my son not only loves that team, but he hopes to play for it one day. He's a very good football player. I'm very proud of the success he's had, and that his team last year was undefeated. They were the championship team. So that's him with the championship trophy, as a matter of fact. So definitely proud of his work there, and I'm sure that if he keeps at it, there's no doubt in my mind he's going to be a New England Patriot right there. So I'm getting those autographed photographs ready for everyone. So because he's going to be going places.
Nice.
And everyone, that's what Earl looks like in a beanie hat.
That's what I look like when my son wins the championship game.
Yeah. I see that. I see proud dad right there. That's for sure.
For sure.
All right. We got any questions coming in from the chat room? The chat room's been a little quiet tonight, huh?
Yeah, it's a little quiet there, but we've got, Lance is always with us with some good questions. And JD as well. Don Ragona. Hey, Don, if you're still there, why don't you ask your friend Earl some questions? Here's my story, Roy, about Earl and my friend Don Ragona. Was there ever anyone else? Wasn't there a third person always hanging out with you guys? So there's a lot of conferences that Indians go to, so I would always Earl and I would always bump into each other constantly at all these conferences, and he'd always be with Dawn, and they'd always look like they just came out of the Godfather movie. Like they would all have their suits on and ties and their hair slicked back, smoking cigars. It's there's some kind of mafia cult.
And then mafia, huh?
Well, I actually refer to Don Ragona as the Don.
The Don.
Right. And
the Don.
Yeah, but when these guys get together and go to conferences, that's what they look like, a bunch of mafia clad Dons. Yeah, that's what they are. Indian conferences are so fun. It's like powwow in business suits, right? Everyone's doing their different kind of dance, selling their wares, educating people over here, advocating for stuff over here. And Earl knows absolutely everybody in any conference that he goes to. A good guy to know right there is Earl. You need a job, Roy? Ask Earl.
I don't know about that, but one of the things I can tell you is there's a lot of good people out there in Indian country, and that's one of the ways to bump into them. And the thing that I like about it is that's a place where we can get together. We can discuss, well, this is what's going on in my neck of the woods, what's going on in yours. How can we collaborate? How can we help each other? How can we find ways to common ground where there are issues that are preventing us from agreeing, and being in those places, it allows that to happen. It's a disappointing time that we can't get together face to face now to do that, but it's so important because so many successes come from the collective minds that are able to rally together in order to address issues. Just to see some of the tribes come together and formulate solutions to Indian country's most pressing problems. It's great just to be able to watch that work and to be able to play a small role in that sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. Earl, I knew as soon as I saw you tonight with your bolo tie on, which is very nice. What is that made out of? Is that work or is that quill?
Yeah, well, it's some beads, some quill work, and also sweetgrass around.
Oh yeah, that's nice. Mm-hmm. But I knew as soon as I saw you all dressed up that this was going to be a professional Earl interview. We wouldn't get down into the real Earl, where he's
you've got
smoking a cigar.
You've got the real me. This is as real as it gets.
Oh, bull crap.
She's trying to put 2 martinis in you, Earl, and make you talk. That's what she's trying to do. Don't buy it, Earl.
She buttered me up to later insult me. That's
no, of course not. Of course
I'm just joking with you, Shannon.
No, you've got some great stories. You've got a great sense of humor. You're also a strong professional. And I guess I'm looking for my own self-motivation. I've been really tired and stressed out lately. Was kind of, wishing for a good Earl joke or a good piece of gossip or something. No, good.
Trying to stay away from the gossip, Shannon. But you know, I'm all about good news, good cheer. So it's I you know, not having these conferences, Shannon, you don't hear as much about what's going on out there in the world.
Yeah, you really don't. You really don't. So what will your first trip be after the pandemic is resolved?
Wow, I really don't know. I had not thought that far ahead, quite honestly. I don't know. Right now, I'm enjoying the time at home. You know, unless it's somewhere I need to go, I really don't go, and so I've been enjoying that a lot. Also, I enjoy watching some of the things that other people have going on. And as it relates to work, I've been enjoying some of the time with the clients, because the good part about this is some of the things that may have taken up some time in travel, you're able to spend it in actually relationship building, even though it's remotely, whether it's by video or by phone. And spending some of that time with clients to be able to dig down deeper into some of the issues they have going on is really great. Is getting to know them. Some of the tribes that I work with, for example, are some of the recently recognized tribes, and just helping them build a strong foundation. Working with some preservation entities to alleviate issues concerning wind farms, and it's just such a variety of things. And being able to do those remotely, it's a learning thing, and it's just been an exciting new world in so many ways, even though it's a world at home.
Yeah, it really is. I listened to something today, and they were saying a face-to-face meeting, an hour face-to-face meeting, folks can usually do online in about 20 minutes, which is, tells you a couple of things. One is that being online can be more efficient and more structured, but it also tells you that when you're face-to-face, you're able to be more social, right? And that
Right.
maybe we're not being very social in our Zoom meetings, but maybe we are. Maybe that's just another community out there. But you're working with tribes in Virginia, so there's new recognized tribes that in Virginia, if I can say that. I already did, so I guess it's but that is really incredible, because they're newly recognized. They fought a long time to get recognition, and to be acknowledged. And one of the main things that they're working on is protecting important cultural areas. And I think y'all have had success there at Cultural Heritage Partners. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? And I might be putting you on the spot. I don't mean to do that.
No, that's perfectly all right, Shannon. So yes, one of the clients that we have through Cultural Heritage Partners is the Monacan Indian Nation, and helping protect Rassawek, which has been dubbed the Monacan Nation historical capital at the time of first sustained contact with Europeans. So that site, a water authority was looking at doing a water pump station. They picked a site that they felt was the cheapest. Unfortunately, it would take them right through the center of this very heavily documented site, which undoubtedly contains hundreds of burials. And with this tribe, Monacan Nation, being in Virginia, of course, genealogically, my tribe is related to the Monacan, the Nansemond, and some of the other Virginia tribes. So this is an issue that is not only important from that tribal perspective, but there's a possibility that some of my own ancestors could be potentially be buried at that site. So it's something that's very personal, in addition to it being important for all the other obvious reasons. So with the Water Authority, it's been a long, hard fight. Initially, they were not giving up any ground. They wanted to press forward what they were doing, but we just recently had a break in that, wherein they decided to earnestly look at alternative sites that we've been suggesting that they approach. So we're very excited about that, and I definitely want to thank the National Congress of American Indians. I want to thank United South and Eastern Tribes, USET, and all those folks, and all of the hundreds of volunteers that have helped us bring to the forefront the importance of protecting this very, very important cultural site for the Monacan Nation.
That's awesome. That's great. Yeah, and I've got up the Cultural Heritage Partners site, which you are a tribal liaison there, not a lawyer, but you
Right.
are working with tribes on a lot of cultural heritage preservation. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been a really great project to work on, Shannon, and I think that I think things are finally starting to turn in a positive direction on the other side of it. So we're really looking forward to what's to come.
That's great. That's great. That's great.
And yeah, and I think you have a conference coming up soon too, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I have one more week to prepare, and then the week of, let's see, October 26, 27, and 28 is the 6th annual Repatriation Conference. I'll be speaking at it in several different places. I've got to figure out what I'm going to say. I still need to work on my presentations. But the conference it's going to be pretty amazing this year. Again, we're going to be virtual, right? So more people can attend who normally wouldn't be able to attend in person. And the cost in person is so much more because it costs us a lot to put on the conference. It's some kind of conference center, and feeding everybody, make sure everyone gets fed.
Where are you going to be, Shannon?
I'll be here. I'll be right here.
Right from your house?
Right from my house.
Okay.
And so we'll be having it. We have 600 people registered. And this is normally.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah. And like last year, we had 290 people registered. So we've had, twice as many people able to participate this year. So it's going to be a really great conference, and it's of course commemorating 30 years of NAGPRA, and whether that's been good or bad, or how we still need to improve. Hopefully you'll be there, and folks at Cultural Heritage Partners will be there somewhere in the audience, I hope.
Absolutely, Shannon. We plan to attend. We've also done outreach to our tribal clients to ask them to consider attending, because it's a very important conference. It's important for everyone who believes in protecting cultural sites, protecting ancestors. Excuse me. So I'm really looking forward to it, and I think that you've got a good lineup going on, and so I think it's going to be a good conference. And not to mention you coming up on your 100th anniversary. Oh yeah. So in addition, a lot of good things going on. So 30th anniversary of NAGPRA.
Do you see how he's like turning it around, and he keeps plugging the association and me and Don Ragona, and see how what a Southern gentleman he is. Thank you, Earl. I really appreciated this, but we really want to get to know you. And I feel like I've gotten to know you a little bit better. At least I've gotten to see your baby picture.
One of them.
One of them.
Well, we've learned a lot about Shannon this show, to be honest.
I know.
Oh, actually, yeah, her political views, yes,
and her yard. Anyway, we just know what her yard looks like.
This show is not about me. This is about Earl.
Well, yeah, Shannon, I hope that in a future at one of the conferences, maybe at your 100th anniversary, you'll consider hosting one of our favorite musical talents here at Haliwa-Saponi. I don't know if you've heard of our tribal member Brooke Simpson that competed on The Voice.
Yeah,
but she's from here at Haliwa-Saponi, and she's been out to Arizona and a few other places around Indian country since her time on The Voice. But would love to see her be a part of your 100th anniversary celebration.
Yeah, would you get her on the show too?
Yeah, I mean, we absolutely could get her on the show if she is. That her?
It is. That's her and her mom.
There she is. Yeah, she was on. I remember that. Everyone was so proud and happy to see her on national television. It was really cool.
She did absolutely fantastic. One of the things that I told her mom, the song that she did that had all three of the judges to turn around was this song by Demi Lovato, and the thing that I told her mom is, quite honestly, I did not know Demi Lovato until I knew Brooke Simpson, because until Brooke sang that song, I honestly don't ever recall hearing that song before. And then when she sang it and I heard the Demi Lovato version, I said, "Oh my God." It's such a huge difference. I mean, she really took the stage on that and did such a fantastic job, and she does it with everything she does. So watching her grow up and turn into this mega star in what she did, and she may not be the biggest recording artist in Hollywood, but certainly considering the small town she comes from, that definitely has megastar status to really take the stage in such a commanding way. So we're definitely proud of her for being able to do that. And her mom, that's her mom, Jamil, and her dad was our former vice chairman of our tribal council as well. They're also fantastic musical talents.
Wow.
So it definitely runs in their family.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
That is cool. So the chat room has a couple things to say.
All right.
Have you guys run into any voting issues? Lance has said. In California, we've been having fake boxes put up on the corners. I don't know if you guys heard about that.
I saw that.
Yeah, the RNC actually admitted to doing it and got caught on it. So they warn everybody not to drop off in these quasi boxes that they're sticking out on the street corners. So stay away from those.
Oh, geez.
And then JD said, it's sad that it takes an army of people to preserve cultural sites, yet the preservation of monumental sites, monuments and statues and the like of the colonies is protected by the equivalent of military force.
Very good point. Oh my God.
That's a great point. That is a great point, because they are defending those things with all their might, yet we can't even get them to stop running a bulldozer over, a gravesite.
I saw an article this week about that happening out in Arizona along the border wall.
Yeah.
Yep.
Shannon was actually out there working
awful
on that in the early days.
Well, I don't know that I was out there working.
Well, you were working with those folks, right?
I was asked by Congress to speak at a public hearing on that with the Tohono O'odham Nation, whose sacred sites and burials was getting dug up, and then the Kumeyaay, various bands of the Kumeyaay filed suit against the border wall, and there were Tohono O'odham and other activists out in Arizona picketing and protesting, and I think it was Department of Homeland Security and state officials were out hitting them with rubber bullets.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is awful.
That was really good, JD, by the way. Really
Yeah.
good. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. That was awesome.
Yeah, that's
really good. Really good point.
Well, that's unfortunately it seems that whenever crimes are perpetrated against natives, it doesn't hit the news quite as much as it does any other time that it happens. We've seen cases of Caucasian militants entering into various public government buildings in full assault gear with machine guns and whatnot, and they're standing in there and just being asked to leave. Whereas if any of us come close to the picket sign, it's crazy. And the atrocity.
A bunch of us show up with guns and see what happens.
And the atrocities that happened during DAPL and all of those things. I mean, there's just so much stuff that we're mistreated in. It really makes me sad. One of the folks that I know from the Plains areas that would definitely be opposed to that, God rest his soul, is the late great Wayne Ducheneau. I don't know, Shannon, if you guys knew Wayne Ducheneau, but Wayne was definitely a hard fighting soldier for the Cheyenne people. I was definitely blessed to be able to work with for the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe. Work with Wayne in various forums. In consultation, federal government consultations wherein it was tribes and the federal agencies. So, the personality and the type of person he is, Wayne is one of those people that I think of when I think about something like this, man. Wayne, I wish Wayne was here. Wayne wouldn't just stand for that. He's going to go out there. He's going to be right in the middle, right in the thick of it. And him and Terry Red Fox and so many of those other people that we don't see on the national level now or as much. Think about the way these guys will handle those types of situations. And it's so much atrocity out there. And even in investigating murdered and missing women, nobody worries about our situations the way they do others, the way they do other folks. They really don't. In my own tribe, for example, we had a young lady, Faith Hedgebeth, in 2012 that was taken before her time. She was a student at UNC Chapel Hill. And Shannon, I sent you information about her. She's in her freshman year at UNC Chapel Hill, and she was viciously murdered. And to this day, her killer has still not been brought to justice. So here at Haliwa-Saponi, we're definitely hoping, we're definitely praying. I was on tribal council at the time, and we not only went to Chapel Hill and other places trying to assist the family in whatever way we could and bringing attention to this matter. The tribe contributed to the reward, and we're anxiously awaiting for her killer to be brought to justice. And so we're hoping for that one day. And I know so many other tribes are going through the exact same thing and wondering if any justice is going to ever occur. And it looks like, those are situations where we're going to have to demand that something be done as opposed to wait for it to be done.
Yeah, because we see things like this terrorist threat that just happened in Michigan, right? Was it the governor was
just the governor? Yeah,
it was a plot to kidnap, murder her and police officers, blow up a bridge, all these things, and they caught them, and it's getting brushed under the rug. Even our government won't talk about it now. It's just like, we arrest some people and that's it. I mean,
the Trump rally, he was actually inciting chants from the audience about this. The Michigan governor came out and she basically said, I want everyone to know what Trump is doing is not just endangering me, but it's endangering my family and my children. And it's endangering all public servants that are working in government. And this is nothing less than domestic terrorism. So she basically, called Trump out. That his actions are domestic terrorism. So our country is just in the weirdest place, and for people to say that there's not institutional racism, that that racism doesn't exist, and all these other things is just,
it's not correct.
My grandmother used to say, walk a day in my moccasins, old grandmas, if they only knew, if they only took a day and walked with me, and it still goes on.
Problem is they know.
Yeah.
They know. They just don't want it to change. They're in the death throes, like I said, of their reign. It appears that way. It appears like the world is tired of it. And definitely
Maybe.
here. So
and also we need to keep the young people reminded, because none of us is getting any younger, and one of the things that I miss a lot of our elders that used to lead the charge, and we've got to remind the young people, because sometimes we live in the moment and we don't realize that we also need to be teaching at the same time, because the young people don't know the history that we know, and if we don't teach them, then they're going to fall victim to their own ignorance of the circumstances and the situation. You've been in times, for example, I know we as natives have heard so many non-natives describe the funding that tribes get from the federal government as being welfare. They don't understand. No, the federal government's paying a mortgage. This is money they owe. They signed an agreement that in exchange for these wonderful
they're
millions
paying their damn bill is what they're paying. It's a bill.
Yeah, this is not reparations.
Charity.
This is not charity. It's not welfare payments. This is a debt that you owe. Yes, this is a debt that you owe, and we have to not only teach non-natives that, but we also have to remember to teach our young people that, and they've got to be just as diligent. They've got to work just as hard. There's, no matter how hard you work, sometimes it may never be hard enough. One of the people that's my greatest hero is my dad. My dad is in his 70s, and he will still physically outwork many 20-year-olds. And so a lot of times when I find that my stride is decreasing, or I'm just tired, I think about how hard my dad works, and how he's worked in industrial construction most of his life, and without a single complaint. And just to see the passion and the fervor which he still engages in his daily activities and trying to get different things done. And I said, you know what? I've got no excuse. When I see how hard he works, I say, I've got no excuse. I need to get up. I need to go. I need to get the work done. I need to teach the young people that I'm able to influence, to carry on that work, to carry on the things that need to be done, the battles that need to be won. And we all need to start doing that.
And I say it all the time on this show. I really appreciate the younger generation right now and the work that they're putting in, and the enthusiasm and energy that they have, because I'm seeing a lot of it out there, and I've discovered a lot of it on TikTok, and I keep, Shannon laughs at me and all of this, but go and look at native TikTok and look at what these young people are saying. They're resonating. Just like those old timers did, back in the days, when AIM was first, starting to protest, and then we're marching on Washington and things like that, where, and I mean, it's gone on for hundreds of years before that, don't get me wrong. But the voice was starting to come out then. And like you said, and Shannon and I have talked about this, like kind of our generation was like kind of that silent generation where things kind of smoothed out a little bit, and we weren't as loud anymore. We still understood. We
were getting jobs.
We were getting jobs, and we were working, and we were, we were building families and building infrastructure and those kinds of personal infrastructure and that kind of stuff. And then now we're watching our elders pass on, and they were the carriers of the message. But I'm seeing this younger generation with the energy they have and the platforms that they have and the voices that they have, just needing mentorship, needing the history taught to them. And I think that's to our generation's responsibility to do that to these young folks, and, to get on the TikTok and support them, and platforms like this, so that they can hear the stories, and so they do know the struggles, so they can take that energy that they have and focus it where it should be focused. Because I think that's really all they need is they need that mentorship. They need that focus. And because the energy's there and the fire's there, you see it all over. You go on native TikTok, you see it all over. It's not just a bunch of dancing and playing around. These kids are serious, and they're doing it in an Indian way. They're funny and they bring culture in, and, they do it in an Indian way. Don't get me wrong. They're playing too. But they have a serious message, a cultural message, an individual tribal message, an individual message, but it is Indian country message, and you could hear it in them. And I think they just need support and guidance. And that is a great platform for Indian country. I'm telling you, you watch Indian TikTok's going to do something for Indian country. You watch it.
Well, for sure.
That's why they call it TikTok.
You've got me convinced. I need to go see TikTok. Shannon knows I'm not much of a social media kind of guy, but I think Roy's got me convinced. Now I'm gonna have to check into TikTok.
And the beautiful thing is, Earl, you don't have to really participate, but you can observe, and you can see these young people and how they're acting and what they're doing, and you can see them interacting with their aunties and their uncles and their grandmas and grandpas, and they're doing all of the traditional things, but they're also speaking messages on there. I'm really proud of native TikTok and how these kids are using these young people are using this platform to speak to Indian country and to speak to the world about what Indian country is about. Because my daughter, she's 14 and she's got we live here in suburban Los Angeles area, and so her circle of friends, they're all TikTokers and they do the traditional pop culture stuff. But my daughter would send me she would send me a text message with a native TikTok on it and say, hey, look at this fancy dancer, or and I started seeing some of the messages that these people were passing along. And so I got interested in it. And before I knew it, the algorithm on TikTok, what happens is if you follow these folks, you start to follow more folks like them. And so what happens is you start to get all of these native TikTokers on your TikTok. So when you're constantly looking through these really short videos, but you have to be able to do like an elevator pitch, like a 30-second elevator pitch of whatever it is you're trying to say. So they come up with these very ingenious ways to pass along culture and political stances and things like that. So it's really, really cool. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, it really is.
Nice.
And again, man, I should buy shares or something in TikTok with the amount of promo that Roy gets.
Sounds like they owe Roy some money. He's
I wish, go on, bring it, TikTok. I tell you, I'm not influencing some of those kids, man. They got millions of followers. Oh, yeah. Millions. I mean, it's just insane how many people start following these folks.
I think you need to reach out to some of them and get them on the show, Roy.
You know what? You're right. I need to.
That sounds like a plan.
I need to quit viewing. I just view them. I can sit there for hours and just watch these people. They're so great. And some of the comedians that are on there, the Indian comedians, holy shit! I mean, they'll have you rolling. I mean, just straight up rolling, just res talk and. The funniest stuff, it just will resonate with you, get it? And it's just funny stuff. And there's a couple of them that I really like because they put out a new one today, and I'll go in and watch them. But
so it looks like JD's been doing some TikTok watching, and he's got some warning for you.
He said, "Time goes by quick."
And then all of a sudden you'll get in. There'll be an Indian will come on and he'll be serious and he'll go, "Stop scrolling. It's time for bed." And then he'll go away. I know you've been up for hours. So
is that what that's for? Because time goes by quick? Is that what that's about? About it wrapping up quick?
You're watching and you don't realize that 2 hours has just watched.
Oh man, 2 hours will go by like nothing. You'll be like, "Oh, I've been watching this for 2 hours." You put it down. You'll feel so horrible about yourself.
Yeah. Just be careful. Put a timer on.
but man, it's like and without the powwows and without being around the culture, and having that and being able to engage with that and see it. Like, I mean, you know, you go to Power, you got your characters, you got your friends, you got, you know, what's going on around there. You got the drama of family stuff and everything happening. And you just don't get it when you're not there. And we haven't, you know, this whole Powell season was like wrecked. You know, we had nothing. We had some of the, like the local bird singers were doing like these parking lot bird singer events. Like we'd all go and park our cars, you know, and then the bird singers would get in the middle and do things. But we had no powwows. Everything was gone, and you just couldn't. Out here, you know, this isn't the res. This is, you know, I mean, California is spread out. When you want to go see Indians, you got to go where the Indians are. They're just not your neighbors, you know, like if you're living on the res or something. So it's TikTok's been a breath of fresh air during this whole thing, this pandemic.
I'm going to have to check that out, Roy. You got me sold. I'm checking TikTok right after the show.
Yeah. And at first you're going to get like all the twerking and the weird stuff at first, but as soon as you find do a native search, and as soon as you start, you know, working those people into your algorithm, it just, your whole thing just turns into it. And in fact, one of the big funny things that the Indian community will do is, like, all of a sudden you just see some girl come running up in her jingle dress. She's running to the camera. She's all excited. And they'll go, and they say the same thing every time. They go, I just love it when I open up my feed and it's nothing but Indians on it. And then she'll run away, you know, because it's like, you know, you just keep there. It's just showing how big the community is, you know. It's,
I'm trying to cleanse this of TikTok. Is it working yet?
All right, I'm done. I won't talk about it no more. But you'll love it. You'll love it. Oh, and before I know we're getting ready to wrap it up and everything, but we've got another one of Shannon's signs popped up in my feed. You're gonna have a hard time cleaning that yard up, Shannon.
Well, the rednecks down the street keep messing up my signs, so I have to keep putting up more.
Oh boy. All right, wow. Earl. Well, I guess we're getting ready to wrap this up. Gosh, I got a long drive here. I'm so grateful we ended on youth because it's a really powerful message, and we have to remember that. So, Earl, I didn't get my funny Earl interview, but I got my inspirational Earl interview, and thank you for reminding me and all of us about this important work that we're doing and how important it is to give back to the younger people around us.
Thank you, Shannon. I appreciate you as well. I appreciate all the kind words. And I'm just really grateful that the Creator put me in a time and a place where I could be used as a vessel to try and do some good and to try and help others do good. And I think that as long as all of us continue to help each other and to feed those positive things into each other, then we really can take things a lot further than we ever imagined. Even throughout this pandemic, you see people pulling together like never before. Just even at looking in some of the tribal collaboratives that came about when COVID first hit. One of the first organizations to help organize a lot of the tribes and the efforts tribally was the Native American Finance Officers Association, NAFOA, and they're a financial organization. I never would have thought initially, about wow, but then they came out strong, taking the lead, trying to say, hey, we need to get organized. We need to figure out how to get Indian country together to establish priorities for this, because Indian country needs help. And we need to make sure that Indian country is protected in this. And I think that we've got to continue that level of momentum when it comes to moving the needle on those issues that matter most to us. So thank you for the work that you do. Thank you, and Roy, for giving an opportunity for me to be able to participate in this, because I'm very proud of the work you do at the association, very proud of the work that you're doing with the show. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot, Earl.
Thanks, Earl.
Appreciate you.
We're gonna bring you down, but you can wait for a minute, and we'll wrap up with you in a second.
All right.
Thanks. Oh, there we go.
All right. Hey, what is WWANAUTI?
That was that was my old my old business that I had before COVID destroyed it. My yacht cleaning business that I had. WWA.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That was I was doing yacht cleaning on the side. I had a little boat that I'd go out on the weekends and.
Well, what did you put it up here for?
Oh, I was letting Lisa Kelly know what my TikTok was.
Oh, that's your
my TikTok. That's my TikTok. I use that as a business and a TikTok. So, yeah, that's the weird name I have on my TikTok. I'll change it. I'll find something else. Red Hoop Roy or something.
All right.
I'll figure out something.
So now that everybody knows how to get a hold of Roy on TikTok, we need to get Roy to start doing some videos and also reach out to some of the Native creators.
I will.
We're actually, the Association on American Indian Affairs is actually going to be celebrating its 98th year in Indian country in November. And we are reaching out to some of those Native creators, and we'll be showcasing Native young performers and artists as part of our event and membership meeting. So you'll hear more about that in November. So maybe we can work on getting some Native TikTokers on.
We will.
I think we're going to have to, and I'll just sit back and you can take the interview. And
I just don't know how funny or anything I'm going to be on a TikTok. I don't know if I can.
You'll probably be all enamored and like, oh, you're the one who did. You'll be all starstruck.
I'll be starstruck. Oh, you mean with all the TikTokers? Oh yeah, heck yeah. Because I'm already a fan. A bunch of them. Oh man, I'm a fan.
Maybe they can teach us like a tutorial, like how to do a basic TikTok.
You know what? That would be a good thing. You know what? I got messages from some of them. I just have never interacted. I'm afraid. I'm like, I'm just gonna watch. You guys are brilliant. I'm not gonna do that. But anyway, I will. Well, all right. Who were we brought to by?
What? Oh, are we closing? We're closing. Roy wants to go. We're brought to you by the Association on American Indian Affairs. If you haven't heard that yet, the oldest nonprofit serving Indian country, and putting on the Repatriation Conference in 2 weeks. If you want to go to the Repatriation Conference but can't afford the $200 or $100 discounted rate to attend the Repatriation Conference, but are interested in the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act or repatriation processes, would you get a hold of me? Go to our website, find our contact information, our email address, tell them Shannon sent you. You want to go to the Repatriation Conference for free, and I'll do my best to get you a free registration. So just let us know. And other than that, I think that's it. Next week, Robert Sanook from Eastern Band of Cherokee. So more North Carolina for you. And that's all I got, Roy.
Oh, all right. Well, we will see you all next week. Thank you, Shannon.
Hey, thanks, Roy.
We'll talk to you guys next week. Red Hoop Talks.
Bye.